Hey y'all, welcome back to the Oriway podcast. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Gabriel. Here we rise, begin, and appear as image bearers of Jesus Christ. So we're glad to have you for another conversation.
Yes, guys, welcome back to another episode. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. We have been waiting.
Because we're having another
Luvan
baby.
Number 3 is on the way.
Some of y'all may have known. Some of y'all may have guessed. Some of y'all may have seen.
Just read in between the lines.
Yeah.
Got
seen
that.
through my dresses.
Right.
But yeah, here it is. Here's the news. We are currently 17 weeks, so 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months. About to be 4.5 at the close of this week.
Yep.
Yeah.
This one definitely feels like it's going by faster.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with just how much has been taking up our lives lately. I mean, not to mention we have 2 other babies. And so when have we ever been, going through the pregnancy process with this many other kids? It's just
with
different. It's
2
different.
toddlers, 2 very active toddlers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Climbing everything.
Yeah.
Trying, not getting down from everything, but, at least climbing it.
Yeah, they are climbers.
Yeah.
And so it's been a lot. It's definitely been a lot. It's been tiring. It's been exhausting. And it's been exhausting for me.
That's a common theme from episode to episode. But look, now y'all got context. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm this. I'm that.
Right.
I'm going to let you know the woman is strong. She's been pregnant the whole time. Yeah.
At night. Recording at night.
Right.
But yeah. Yeah. So should I show them a quick bump update?
I mean, if you want to.
Okay.
If you feel so inclined.
I know as women, we like that. Okay. So here it is. Here's a bump. Here's baby. Okay, that's it.
So cute. It's so cute.
Yeah, so do you want to...
My cheeks are busting.
So do you want to go in on how this started? How this baby started? How this baby came about?
Well, I feel like you should.
Okay.
Cause I got you already know I always have something to say, but this is really your show.
Wow, it's my show.
Yeah, I mean I'll chime in.
All right, so
got my 2 cents.
I'm going to start with a dream I had when Joshua, our second born, was only a few months old, maybe 3 months, I'd say. And okay, so I'm gonna just go right in. The dream, in short, was us backstage at a stadium.
Oh, okay, we going okay. Oh,
we were backstage, me, Gabe, and the kids were backstage of a stadium, being guided to where we were going to sit and wait for Gabe to perform at the stadium. And as we were walking over to our spot to sit and wait backstage, I was pushing a 3-seat stroller with 3 boys in it.
And that third one wasn't adopted.
No,
Not yet.
no. And obviously they were close in age because they were all 3 fitting in a stroller. The stroller is nothing like, I don't think it exists.
as a design. It was, but the design was the message.
Yeah, but there's always something that's off in my dreams, but I know when it's from the Lord and when it's a prophetic dream. And so, because this is not the first time this has happened. But yeah, so there's 3 boys in the stroller. I'm pretty sure it was 3 boys. Like, I'm pretty sure the third one was a boy.
So when you had that dream, neither one of us was thinking, and I'm glad you started there because neither one of us was thinking about having another baby in this space.
No, we knew and we decided after having Joshua that we were going to wait. At least we said, like a year to 2 years.
I'm like, it was at that point, it was just wisdom. Like, just don't like, be able to keep up with the kids before you start talking about another one. But she had the dream, and it was in a space where, and I was really putting in some hours, while working during the day. I was putting in hours at night to grow musically, just in the areas that we've talked about in previous episodes. And so it was really encouraging. I stuck that whole 3-seater thing like in the background.
Yeah,
but
we both
encouraging. Did. Yeah, for the most part, because we're like, okay, it'll come. We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like it was in that way. It was confirmation.
Yeah. So even me, like having that vivid dream and knowing that it was a prophetic dream, I like brushed it to the side, but obviously like I couldn't deny it entirely because I had already dreamt of both boys before they were born. And I've had many other dreams that, I already have an understanding how God speaks to me through my dreams, and when he says something, it's gonna happen. Not
to mention the dream you already, that was less of a dream and more of an open vision that you already mentioned, where you said it was weeks after we had Jonah. Like this girl recovered within like a week and a half or something. She went out running, all right, like within a week and a half. But you said you were in the hallway over there, and you had almost like an open vision of 2 boys running past your legs and about to like slam into you or hit you, and like
they were running around my legs like playing tag, and so they were touching me, and I almost tripped because they were running around my legs and like grabbing my legs.
And when you told me that, and like, cause we've mentioned this before, but when you told me that, I was like, oh, okay, right. Because we've had a baby, like this is good for this space. One baby is good for this space. And, a month and a half after that, Joshua was conceived.
Yeah.
So it's wild, because I think to continue from that dream that she had, it was really encouraging for me in the moment. And I actually have a quick question for you. Were we on our first or our second fast when that dream came? Like, or was it even before like either of them?
Wait, are you talking about the dream?
I'm talking
backstage?
Yes, the backstage dream.
I think this was way before like the fast that you're talking about.
So
this was a few months after Joshua was born. Like he was still really young.
Okay, get my timeline right. And I think so to now continue, thank you for that clarity. So I made a pretty big jump. Like I feel like the circumstances of our life presented itself in such a way to where the Lord clearly was moving in our heart. And so we went through a week of fasting and praying for a risky move that we really felt like, okay, no, it's time to make this. And we feel the Lord like giving us encouragement to make this move, but we needed to fast and pray for just confidence in it, and
confirmation from him.
Yeah, I'm exactly the show enough on it. We needed that show enough on it, and it was during that we both had a feeling. I'm not sure if we had a feeling to usher us into the space of committing more full time with Oriway Productions and with her art and with my art, and letting the Lord just direct even our maturity and our discipline on a professional level to be able to birth this thing.
Right.
And so we make that move. We're heading up. Then we have dreams.
No. Before we even had the dreams, we both had then the feeling.
Okay, you're right. All right. Sorry. Because I said dreams, but it really was the coincidence of the feeling. Really, it felt dream-like. It was so wild.
Yeah.
So we were this very passionate night, shall I say? I was just gonna say it was a passionate night, and after we're regaling in that space. In fact, the Lord drops on my heart like another child, and and I was like, I'm gonna, okay, well, if he told me, I'm gonna just tuck that in my pocket right here.
Right.
He told me I'm not gonna plant any ideas in her mind.
Especially,
that's how I'm thinking.
Sorry, especially because that's the first time he had that thought or feeling.
Oh yeah. First
we
time.
Obviously knew we wanted kids when we got married, but he had never been in a rush to have kids.
And
never got never felt like he was told from God.
I didn't get no baby
the time.
fever. I didn't get any baby fever.
Yeah, that was me.
So I'm feverishly grateful for the babies, but I didn't have baby fever. So that was like the first time where he spent that in me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna tuck it because I'm not gonna put any ideas in her head. And so she comes to me maybe like,
no, it's the same night.
No, I know. Stop.
Oh, okay,
stop.
sorry.
I'm gonna tell her. She comes to me maybe 10 minutes after that, just a good space of time. And she starts to timidly share like what she felt from the Lord. And I'm like, oh my God. Because there are some things that are, in the heat of a moment. And then there are other things or there's other circumstances to where truly we're under covenant with one head in God, and the Holy Spirit is speaking to us both.
Right.
And that was the full discernment of it, because looking at our circumstances, neither one of us was excited. We're always excited for what the Lord blesses, but not excited for the circumstances,
the challenges
that surround it. Like there's his promise, and then there's the land that you're in right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's absolutely a faith walk to even do this thing. Now, I don't want to tell your whole part. Do you want to share like how you received and what you felt in that moment?
Yeah. So just to reiterate, we were fasting in this time. And we had very clear requests from the Lord and expectations of what.
And he was talking.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
Tell you some stuff.
So we wanted him to confirm certain things and just speak to us very clearly about certain things about our life. It was never kids wasn't on the list. But he was speaking to us every day. He was giving us something very specific that he wanted us to hear from him and meditate on.
Right.
And act on.
Yeah.
And so we were so grateful, and we felt so in tune with him. We felt so in tune with what he was calling us to do elsewhere, like Gabriel said with the Ori Way podcast. That was a big part of that fast as well. And he was so
right.
clear about that he was giving us revelation every single day, just expanding our minds and connecting all of these different areas in our life that we wanted to move forward and really grow in. So that's just to say that we felt so in tune with the Lord that when this night and this moment happened, it was so clear that it was God speaking. And just even that night, it was like we were high in the spirit.
Yeah.
Because he was speaking so much to us. And I'm pretty sure even that night, we couldn't go to sleep. Because I just kept talking, and we would go back and forth about what the Lord was saying. Because,
and aside from this, through that, in that space of fasting and prayer, he was speaking to areas that hadn't been touched in such a long time, or that we had even individually taken, I wouldn't say for granted, but taken and let lie in contentment. And for me specifically, he was just speaking to my identity as an artist, and he was showing me scripture in the word, like literally in one of my dreams. Like, I received a name that I then later, when I woke up, I was like, whoa, like the specifics of the dream was astounding, but it left me with a name that I could then research. And when I researched it in the word, that man's story had so much specific relevance for what the Lord wanted me to consciously work on in this stage, to prepare myself and to prepare our family for what it is that he wants to do. And so we were in such a space of being refined and things being revealed, because there was a lot that I didn't think that was necessarily a problem, you know, but he's like, no, this isn't yet, this feature hasn't yet fully aligned with my design and how I want to prosper you guys. And so I was like, it was a lot of alignment, not to say that, oh, you're misaligned, but, you know, alignment. I feel like when you grow in Christ, he gives you new degrees of conviction where old habits and old ways of even old ways of thinking would have sufficed for that glory, but he desires to bring you somewhere higher. And so you have to allow your appetite to be reshaped. And so we were absolutely in this space, like when he, especially even in that night, where it's like you're talking about, like you were in this place of overflow and really talking, because again, it's so funny, in that week he really opened up the Ori Way podcast for me. It's kind of hard for me to even believe that this wasn't a priority, you know, before, because we're like living in that so much now. We've prepared for it, you know, it's developing us. And so it's almost like this has been our life, but this ain't no, not at all. He really, this is a full circle moment for me, even just right now, accepting that, not even just accepting, but seeing just how much he had to help me move out the way to allow this thing to be birthed through us, that was already on Brittany's heart from years ago, probably, to be frank.
Well, I mean, I can say that even before we had our first child, Jonah, the Lord kept bombarding me with dream after dream of not only our biological children, but of adopted children. And then children that like we would just save because they were left abandoned out on the street, even babies. And so I'd have these very vivid dreams where I'm helping kids, helping babies, saving babies, taking them into our home. And I'd wake up in this reality, literally crying multiple mornings because I wasn't in the reality anymore that they were in so that I could help them. But I was in this reality. And so he really like gave me this strong like burden and strong desire, not only for our own children, but just to help and be the mother that I needed to be for those children that, you know, he's called me to care for. And that was not my plan, like in my flesh. I kept saying to myself for years that I didn't want my children till I was 30. That I wanted to grow as much as possible my entire 20s.
Home the way it needed to be.
Right.
It needed to
Had
be.
this whole plan of how we could get our lives to be so perfect and ready throughout our 20s.
It may have felt perfect, but
in my head, yeah.
Right. But it was like perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But the Lord said no. I'm telling you, like he stressed this on me. It was dream after dream, like every other night.
It's just so funny to me because you saying he stressed it on you. There was no amount of stress
on him. No,
that I could that my heart was even available to receive that burden. It was like,
He had to trust that God was speaking to me because I'm like...
No, I'm telling you, he used you to speak to me.
Yeah.
Like, because you, like, look, he couldn't get the stress. He got the stress through you to get me the stress.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So, yeah, when he says this has been on my heart, that's how and why. But back to that night, to bring it back, I just want to point out too that the boys have or had been sleeping really well for months at this point, like really well.
That's
so
a whole nother conversation, right?
Yeah,
there.
it was a struggle for a while to get them on the same sleeping schedule and to get them sleeping throughout the night, not waking up at like not even once.
Easy a year and 4 months of us having a wildly dysfunctional sleep schedule.
Yeah. That's like from
Straight.
when Jonah was born, he's saying.
Yeah.
Waking up multiple times a night. And that's not like every single
Screaming.
night. But
like,
yeah.
Screaming. Like,
It was a lot.
Oh my gosh. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot, but we prayed on it heavy. Like heavy.
And you know what? Okay. I like that you're saying prayed on it. Really, a lot of the prayer that happened
was out of stress.
And it also helped us to listen to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a year and a half. And granted, I don't think it could have been much shorter than that because Jonah was just that first year. It's just the type of child he was. Like, there wasn't much more we could do. But we ended up implementing some of my ideas just a little more. No, because I feel like you definitely ran to your limit with just trying it the same way.
Yeah, I didn't want to hear my baby crying.
Yeah, and especially like that first year with just Jonah, we had some. Oh my God, it's wild. I'm like, it's coming back now. Mm-hmm. We had some nights. Oh, this is horrible. I feel like I'm having like nightmarish flashbacks because we had some nights where because it's so incessant. Any amount of sleep deprivation and that, and you're working too, that's gonna bring out the worst. And then God helps you deal with the worst. But the worst that it brought out, it was so many 4 a.m. arguments about how we're gonna do this, and then me and Brittany stepping out here from 4 to 5, and why won't you listen to me? And it really was it was painful. It was painful. I just, as we're talking about this journey, I think it's important that we take these asides and these moments to share. Yeah. And I just had to share that.
And I mean, like, I didn't want to hear my baby crying, so I'd be rocking my baby while like fully pregnant. And yeah,
because I clocked out because I'm like, you don't want to listen to me, I'm gonna go to sleep then. You don't want to try my...
I was the one mostly up in the middle of the night every night.
Okay, so
I said mostly.
Now is not the time to argue about
But you
this.
had the great ideas about sleep training.
You know what? Okay, so at that, girl, you are right. You are right. You had put me in a position to where I had to say, well, if you're gonna do it this way, you're gonna do it on your own.
Wow.
Not fully, but because you're right. Wow. Like you really did bear a lot of that, just rocking him back to sleep again and again. And I stepped in. Yeah,
you did.
Can I say 30%?
30%.
Dramatic. I listen. I was active during the day. I've always been active during the day a lot more.
Yeah.
But I stepped in a little bit at night.
We can move on because.
Don't brush me. Yeah, it was.
So yeah, eventually, after many discussions and changing up the way that we're putting them to sleep, and then picking them up or not picking them up when they wake up in the middle of the night, and really getting a sleep training system going with lots of prayer. Eventually,
it happened.
Like,
I was in bed by 8. If
yeah,
not
I think we
7:30?
started, right. We started at 8 because they were sleeping pretty late. And they were both going to sleep at the same time. They were sleeping throughout the night. I think it started off with like one wake. Like they would wake up at least once.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, at least one of them.
But even that was miraculous.
It was miraculous.
Yeah, just once.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then their naps were becoming in sync. And then we just kept sticking to the same sleep schedule and the same just sleep training. And they got it. They were both sleeping throughout the night, not waking up at all. And yeah, and taking naps together.
I'm sorry. I just still cannot believe we were living that way.
Because our life is completely different now.
My God.
Like even to this day,
they
both at least take one nap together at the same time. They may take a second nap on a rare occasion. Mostly Joshua will. And then they go to sleep at the same time between 7 and 8 o'clock every night. And they stay sleeping. They wake up around 6 and 7 a.m., which can feel really early to us at times.
I feel like that's a new thing too now, because they used to sleep pretty late.
Yeah.
And now, in the last like few months, like last couple months, like just now they up by 6.
Yeah, they said it's summer and they want to enjoy it. So they wake up between 6 and 7. But that's great. Like they sleep all throughout the night. We can, count on that every single night. We can work right now, late at night, and we're good. So yeah, all that to say that was what was happening already now for a few months, when the night came around where we both felt and heard that now's the time for a third child. And it was so loud and clear. Like I felt like there was peace in the atmosphere, peace in the room.
Yeah.
Peace because the boys were sleeping, and they have been for a while now. And it was like the Lord was loud and clear, like, now's the time for that next child that I gave you a dream about. And I was like, what? Like, what, Lord? Is this real?
Right.
Because we could say in our flesh, like, no, not yet. We plan like
not a chance.
We plan like 2 years, at least. And our circumstances did not look fitting for a third child. But we were fasting, we were hearing from the Lord, and we were already in a space where we were accepting
everything else he was saying,
which was uncomfortable change. Like everything else he was saying was something we've never done before. Some things like we didn't know how we would ever do it. And so we were already making really uncomfortable moves that he was very adamant about, and that we knew would change our life, like for our future. And so it wasn't a total surprise when I heard it. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest, in the moment, it was beautiful, because I do want my children, and I do want all of the children that, he wants me to care for. It's just when I think about our circumstances, I could dive into fear, about what we may not have or what we may not, be able to provide for them.
What isn't already established yet. Yeah.
Exactly. But if I were to be honest and say, if I had everything, like quote unquote, everything that I possibly need, all the money, I had the best house that I wanted, all of the things that you would think of you need when you think of having multiple children, I'd say, why not? Why not have the next child that the Lord wants to gift us with? And that's me personally, because he placed this heavy burden on my heart to want these children that he has called me to have, whether it's our biological children or adopted children, or foster children, whatever it is. But yeah, so all that to say that it was honestly a beautiful moment. It was a beautiful, peaceful moment where I didn't feel any fear in the moment. All I felt was the Lord's peace and the Lord's voice, very clear that now was the time.
Didn't feel stupid, didn't feel dumb.
No.
Just not right. Felt his peace, and if he said it, if he said it. And the thing about whenever he says something, it's the signal for you to understand that, okay, I now have a choice whether or not I'm saying yes or no to moving into this process that he really wants to work you into.
Right.
Because he qualifies whom he's called to something. And to be called to multiple children, like, that's absolutely a process to be qualified for. You can have a bunch of kids. No subs, but my dad got kids. It is something else entirely to be able to raise a family and to have generations that bring forth generations of godly individuals that advance and edify the kingdom and not just better the world, but make it more like him, more like God, more like Jesus. And so when we having that feeling, having that word from him in this space of being refined and developed, like God's developing our character before he ushers us into the abundance that's going to come, it absolutely made sense that it was in this space that he would share direction like that.
Yeah.
Because absolutely where we want to go, you don't just get there because you have skills or you have talents or you have drive. Like, all of those things are important, but they can basically be summed up under discipline. Like, you need him in everything that you do. You need his power coming through in everything that you do, so that favor is available to your life. Because, like I've said in previous episodes, a lot of what we faced raising Joshua and Jonah in this small space that we've maximized to feel larger than life for them, a lot of that process has, I feel like a lot of it has broken down what was in us over the years that couldn't maintain this level of blessing. Children are a blessing. They are a huge responsibility. And if you don't do it God's way, it can absolutely suck the life out of you and the happiness out of your marriage, if you're married, or out of all types of relationships in your life.
Yeah.
And so again, him sharing that direction while we're already in this space of our character being developed and refined, it just made sense.
Yeah, but we did wake up the next morning and was like, was that really the Lord? And we're like, yeah, I know that was not me.
Because it wasn't my feelings. I didn't wake up hungry for a baby.
Right, exactly. So we were like, we know this is not us. It's definitely him. And it was clear, but we definitely didn't move what we would consider right away.
I mean, we moved in wisdom, and that's why we went into our second fast. Because Lord, you're not gonna tell me that, and I'm like, okay, well,
that's true.
Even to the point of waking up, we knew what we both heard, but we didn't have the gummy feeling about it. And so at that point, we were like, okay, well, if we fast and prayed for the first big move, which was huge for our family as it is now, let's fast and pray for this, because we have no idea what is tied to us walking in concert with this decision that he wants us to make.
Right.
And that fast was definitely different than our first one. Our first one, I felt like, was definitely a little more intimate. And I think these fasts were, how many weeks apart were they? For like 3 weeks?
No.
Maybe a month?
No, I didn't think it was that far.
It wasn't just a week.
I think at most 2 weeks.
okay, let's say 2 weeks, because a lot did happen in this space, but like, because because we got that 2 weeks. We'll say 2 weeks. This second fast, it was a week-long fast, was if the first one was intimate in what he was revealing about us, I feel like this one was more structured in us building discipline and maturity in bringing forth the vision. It's like we really started seriously organizing what we needed to for the podcast and for my work and her work. Like it got very administrative, less vision, more detail.
But yeah, around 2 weeks later, we did conceive. And I knew we conceived the night that we did because I had a dream, a very vivid dream, holding this baby in my arms. I won't go into like full detail in the dream. But yeah, basically I was holding the baby in my arms and I was looking at the baby's face. Like I could see the baby really clearly and like have that image even in my memory right now. And so I woke up that morning, like we just conceived. Like it's very clear. It's very, very clear to me. And again, like I'm shocked, but not entirely, because the Lord has been speaking to me about this. and so when I told Gabe, like, again, it was like, really? Like this has really happened? But then 2 days later, you want to explain how you felt?
Yeah, because I really feel like, I mean, if my memory serves me correctly, I feel like you were more surprised than myself, in the sense that like, I'm like, I know it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Like the equipment works.
Oh my goodness. No, but it was still a rare occasion.
So when you shared your dream, I definitely was like a little surprised. I was like, oh, okay. It might have happened. And then not long after that, he gave me a dream. And usually I have very vivid dreams too.
Yeah, 2 days later.
Brittany, I was going to share the point. Brittany's dreams are like spectacularly vivid. I probably have those like, I don't know, like once every 6 months. I don't know. But usually I have like pretty vivid dreams. And this one in particular, I could not remember what the dream was, except for the point that I woke up and the impression on me was no need for fanfare. She's pregnant. It was like the Lord matter-of-factly telling me she's pregnant. It's done. It's here. It's happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. All right. And then how long after that did we take the pregnancy test?
Well, 4 weeks. We waited 4 weeks.
Okay, right. So it would show up, but yeah, we already knew. Right?
We knew, and I was having symptoms very early. I started having symptoms a week later, when most women don't have symptoms or like visible symptoms till 4 weeks. And I kind of always had symptoms pretty early, but not this early. And so
a lot about this pregnancy has been like earlier and
very clear. Like I was already nauseous a week later after conceiving. And so yeah, it was so clear, and the symptoms just kept like I just kept getting more and more symptoms, and so there was no denying it. I started getting consistent again with my prenatal pills, and yeah, we still waited 4 weeks until I was supposed to get my period again.
And I think that was for the fanfare of having like a positive pregnancy test, even though we like God already told us. You had a dream,
but I still wanted to
like,
see the the visible.
Make cute little video about it.
Yeah, maybe we'll put a little clip. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, hey.
All right, so We're outside. What's today? Monday morning, May 8th. May 8th. It's 8th.
Okay.
2023. And we got our 2 babies. Almost 2 in 1. And we possibly got a 3rd. We're about to make it officially known. Are y'all ready? If this has 2 lines, you may have a baby brother on the way. Yeah. You hear that, Jonah? If there's 2 lines on this stick, you may have a baby brother coming. Another baby brother.
And what God said is timely and true.
All right. Should we just rip the Band-Aid?
Rip the Band-Aid. Is it a bad thing? It's a wound?
No, but just like quickly uncover. Should we quickly uncover? Ah!
I didn't see it. Oh, wow.
Let me see. That's not fair.
What God gave us and told us is true. So,
But yeah, we waited 4 weeks, and I took the pregnancy test, and then we took a walk that morning to the park, and I brought it with me to the park, and we looked at it at the park, and once we flipped it over, we laughed.
yeah.
We just laughed because we knew, and we were so happy because we felt like that had been the clearest the Lord had spoken to the both of us about like the same thing. You know, like we were both like on one accord with what the Lord was saying.
Totally.
And he was so clear and direct as if he was a real person right in front of us. And again, we already had been hearing from the Lord. I've been having prophetic dreams and visions for years at this point. And so I already know the voice of the Lord. I believe in the voice of the Lord. I have faith in what he says and what he promises. And I go by what he says already. But again, for us to hear the same thing so clearly at the same time. And again, like, you know, Gabe hadn't heard that, oh, now's the time to have a child before. And so the fact that he was getting very clear word from the Lord about it, it just felt so special. And it felt even more special that we were the only ones who knew about this with the Lord. It was like our own little secret with the Lord that nobody knew about except for us. And it was just so intimate. It was so intimate, those 4 weeks.
Every day that, so we have 3 children. What's that his name?
If it's a boy.
every child that we've had or is coming, the day that we revealed the pregnancy test or that we had that literal confirmation, it's always been a sunny day. Like there's always been just like creation celebrating with us. But inwardly, when I found out that Jonah was on his way, we had been trying for months, and I'd fallen into this place of contentment about not having a child yet. And then, you know, he came, and I wasn't exuberant. I wasn't. I mean, absolutely, we're on the same page about loving this process and coming in, but on the front end, I think like the first words I said were congratulations.
He did. I couldn't believe it.
It wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look at all.
It was not what you
hindsight.
expect for a reaction, especially from a husband.
It wasn't the right reaction either.
No, he was like, congratulations. I was like, congratulations.
Yay, we did it. Yeah, no, it wasn't it. And then so I'd kind of lost a little bit of Brittany's trust with the baby reveal after Jonah. And so when Joshua was coming, she found out on her own first.
I did.
And then she was like, I'm gonna be strategic about how I share it with him now.
Especially because it's just 2 months later after having Jonah.
Yeah. Even though I was already, I had matured to a space, like, you know, I had gone through a little more suffering to just be made a little bit more gritty. All right. I got a little more hair on my chest with Jonah. I'm already messing up these boys' names.
Yeah.
But so when she presented Joshua, for me to see, we went out to the park. It was beautiful. We had Chick-fil-A.
Listen, I made sure I ate my whole Chick-fil-A sandwich before I told him, because I wanted to enjoy my meal.
Oh my god!
I was already like feeling hungry, feeling symptoms.
Oh man! So when she told me that day, I think I took it a little more. I didn't take it as, I would say I was more sullen with Jonah. With this time, I was a little bit more.
What is sullen?
Somber. Y'all look it up. Sullen is it's like it's raining outside, wow, but it's okay that you're inside because it's serene. All right, so okay. Right, like that's not celebration. With Joshua, I think I was more like, oof, okay, no, this is good. Okay, no, this is here. I gotta lock in. I gotta do it. Let's
I told him while he was driving, because I knew he wouldn't he wouldn't have the opportunity to sit and like meditate on it or
overthink anything.
To overthink it, but he needed to focus on driving.
I wasn't even necessarily in that place yet. I think having gone through the process at least once, like I knew I was at least knew a little bit of what would be coming, or I thought I knew.
Yeah, we were more
Joshua
familiar.
Was so much more than I thought.
For sure, right? Even though he was more.
But so that was Joshua. Now with
this one
coming,
I'm like, don't you say any names?
I almost did, and that's why I stopped myself. But with this new blessing, this new Luvan coming, the fact that we were both on the same page from like day one, it was such a blessing for me, and I was so thankful that through the last 2 years, God has really just developed a character in me that's a little bit more gritty. Because if you don't have any grit, you absolutely complain more about whatever it is that's going to make you uncomfortable, rather than just having your mind transformed to see that this is a part of a glorious process. Like, one of my favorite quotes, this is from a Marvel movie, is when Loki said, "I'm burdened with glorious purpose." And it's kind of a facetious quote, but there's such a truth to it. If there is purpose in your life and you are being called to something, like, it absolutely is. You go through that process and you enter into the process because there's a burden on your heart, and it is a burden to uphold a standard that is above average, if not for somebody else, at least for yourself. Like, you're being called to a higher standard, and standards don't change overnight. They do not. And because they don't change overnight, it's often a new yes every morning for you to commit to a higher standard, and for you to operate at a level that you probably were risk averse to before. So just being so intimately knit with the Lord, and us in the same space with oh my God, I did it. I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
We can beep it out. Ooh, beeped out. Y'all didn't hear it. I love post editing. See, that's why you got it. But it's so funny. I'm sorry. Okay, get it together.
Hilarious.
That's so funny. I know.
And that's because we believe we know the gender already. We don't
But
technically.
Don't say too much. I'm almost done.
You said too much.
So it was a privilege. It was absolutely a privilege for the Lord to be able to move more in love with me personally as a husband and as a father, because so much of what was very stony in me was broken up. All right. And so when she revealed that our next child was coming, or that we already knew it, but when we looked at the pregnancy test together, and again, every day has been a beautiful day. This one too, it's a beautiful day. We were both able to delight. I felt the sun on my skin, like you can be outside during the summer and be so burdened with like concerns and cares that you don't even feel the sun. You don't even feel the warmth of life and life that he's given, and the boys were playing out in the field, and it was indescribable in so many ways, but also just such a fresh entry into really what's unfolded over the last 4.5 months.
4.5 months?
Yeah, well, 4.5 months in like a week.
Oh, like as in now. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because the Lord was so clear. And so, again, our circumstances did not look like, we're ready to have a third child or, provide for a third child. Even now, it does not look so ready.
Yeah.
And
it hasn't all fallen into place yet. And yet, everybody here, everybody eating, everybody comfortable, everybody growing.
But best believe, we had moments of can I say fear?
Oh yeah, dread. I'll say that. No, I'll say that for real. Like, continue
okay, yeah.
with what
I
you
just
want to
say,
anything.
Based on our circumstances, even right now, we have definitely fallen into moments of fear, confusion, stress.
Our faith was proved and shown to us.
Yes.
So that
all the way with what God has told us he has promised us and is gifting us with, that is truly a blessing, but requires, like he said, so much responsibility. And our circumstances don't look like they match up with the responsibility that fully takes. And so...
And can I chime in right there, though,
sure.
too, real quick? Because a lot of how responsibility aligns up is literally up to you as an individual. Sure. And so these moments of dread that we faced has been a lot of what wasn't yet fully aligned within ourselves to that calling.
So stepping up to the challenge.
Absolutely.
The work that is required to stepping up to these new challenges, and what we need to now prepare for this next season, because with every season comes different levels of work, of effort, of skills. And so yeah, you definitely need to step up to the challenges of growth in all these new areas, or areas that you haven't been wanting to pay attention to.
Right.
So I just to point out that day when we found out, we could have looked at this positive pregnancy test and had fear or been stressed, like, okay, yeah, this is a blessing, but our circumstances doesn't look good. So, my gosh, how are we going to do this? But that was not it at all. Again, because the Lord had already told us about this, and he had already made clear that this was his plan and the time was now. And it was proven when we submitted, it happened right away. And, we had the very vivid dreams then afterwards confirming. And so we felt nothing but peace and joy that the Lord would speak to us so intimately about his plans and then trust us to go forth with, partnering with him with these plans and having full faith that he's going to provide for what he said he's going to bless us with. Yeah.
And this, I don't think either one of us in our lives up until this point has had any 3 months like this past 3 months. This pregnancy has challenged us to believe in his word and to actually seek him as our life's mission. To be honest, a lot of what we learned, a lot of the word, we served in church, we gave where we could, but to be pushed, you don't fall in love with somebody more unless you need them more. Like he loved us first so that we could love him. And I thank God that he's absolutely qualified us along the way in very just key places. Like our oneness was absolutely challenged because pregnancy is so much on the body. I mean, you can tell, but we also have 2 children now at the same time. And so I'm having to pick up more in places just so that the house is just aesthetically pleasing. And you know, there's so many opportunities for that to feel alienating, for me to feel regret about like, what did I get myself into? When truth be told, a lot of it is absolutely just the flesh dying.
And same, like I'm going through pregnancy for the 3rd time, back to back to back.
Well, I'm back to back, and a little bit back.
Yeah, sure.
Because listen, that's why the first 2 are called Irish twins. 11 months apart ain't no joke. That's back to back.
Right. That was back to back. But this is still pretty close. And again, now with 2 toddlers, 1 and 2. And so, I just wanted to point out it's a lot on my body too, that first trimester, oh my goodness. I'm like,
ooh, but
here we are again. We are again. I remember all of these symptoms and it's not fun.
And I'm really glad that we kind of went from Jonah up until this point, because in that journey, just really having to cycle back to some of the memories of just what we went through with sleep training, where we just had one in Jonah, like a lot of the arguments that came between us. These last 3 months have definitely been like unlike anything else. I think because we have so many different responsibilities we're balancing at the same time. But now that I think about how we handled Jonah, or where I was like at my maturity level as a husband and as a father, I'm so much more equipped now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's been tough. It's absolutely brought me to the end of who I am now, but I'm like, past me wouldn't have even been able to, like, you telling me you could have then thought about music or focusing on giving back in ministry and art and singing in any capacity at that miserable.
Yeah.
Like, not at that level.
It's wild how you think you can't push yourself anymore, or you can't you can't have the Lord push you anymore. Like
no more.
Like I feel like this is my capacity. Like I'm exhausted. I'm all types of tired physically, and you feel like you can't handle anymore.
Like my heart aches at the thought of doing more.
And
it's
then
like depression at that point.
More comes and more responsibility comes. And then you realize, wow, like we're adjusting. Like we can naturally adjust as humans. Like we like to fear and think that we can't. But when we have no choice and we're in a situation, we adjust to our circumstances and our environment. And we ultimately step up to the plate. Like one way or another, eventually, if we don't want to be miserable, if, we actually want to grow. And so it has still been shocking how much we've been growing, where we feel like I'm exhausted. I don't know how we're going to handle any more than this. I don't know how I'm going to get through the next day, like definitely during those newborn stages or during that first trimester where I'm nauseous every single day. It's like I really have no idea how we're going to get through the next day, to the next day. But the Lord equips you and he strengthens you. And
can I tell you that through a lot of those struggles, he literally used the struggle to impress the importance of things he already told us to do.
For sure.
Like I know personally, he had instructed me and put it on my heart when I was warm and fuzzy to begin things like the beginning or the middle of last year. And it's not since the last 3 months that I've been brought to a place to where I finally have made that feature a priority, because God is constantly moving. And so for you to keep up with him, yes, you have your habits, you have your disciplines, you have your routines, but when he says pivot, you need to be able to put down what you've grown an attachment to doing first and put that behind what he's saying now to prioritize. And he's grown me personally so much through these last 3 months by just breaking down my inflexibility in that way, or like my rigidity in that respect.
Right.
Because even just getting back on the piano, I was trying to outsource so much work and things just kept failing. Like people ghosting me, like not getting back, promising and this and the other. And like, and then friends too. So it's just like, okay, Lord, what's happening? And he's like, I told you last year, all right, to get back in this space. And so that even that's just like a small example of what being brought to your end, how he can use that to fill you up with what's fresh and what's new and what he wants to and what's anointed in you.
Yeah. I don't think I have any more to say about that.
Good. Well, this was good, and I'm glad that we could finally share this with you, our online family. Because a lot of our family, I feel like some of our family already knew.
Most of our family definitely already knew. Most of our friends already knew, but I know that there's some of y'all who didn't know at all. So
glad that you can finally know.
Surprise.
And wait, so are we gonna keep the name? Are we gonna?
No.
Wait, no. So we want to share the name now?
Oh no. Like,
okay,
I thought you meant like, are we gonna keep the name? Like.
Oh no. I beeped it out.
Yeah.
Well, looks like
Sorry.
You'll be finding out. We'll make that another exciting episode or something like that too. But thank you for joining in.
Yes, and guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for meeting us, Brittany, Gabriel. We're the Luvans. Welcome to the Ori Way podcast.
Yes.
And if there was anything that blessed you, feel free to comment, share of your own testimony, and like and subscribe if you feel so inclined. And God bless. See y'all next week for another episode.
Yeah, bye guys.